Morning. Today is Thursday, March 25th, 2021. It is 8:01 a.m. This is the Westwood Select Board. We are meeting this morning solely for the purpose of discussing the town's annual town election and the changing of its date. We are joined this morning by our town clerk, Dottie Powers, and Westwood's Board of Registrars. Thank you all for joining us. Dottie, do you want to just take it away? Some
Mr.
background
Chair,
on who we are?
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, can I just, on the advice of counsel, I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry
Yes,
about that.
yes, I would like to start. Thank you, Select Board, Registrars, and Town Administrator and Moderator for your time this morning. Of course, I don't want to be here this morning with the subject at hand. However, I received a memo from the Secretary of State's office a few weeks ago, just informing us that the schools would be returning to in-person learning in early April, and that we should check to make sure that our polling places that are located in gymnasiums are available, because they may be used as temporary classrooms. I then in turn reached out to School Facilities Director Ken Aries to inquire about the polling locations that we have in 3 of our schools to make sure that they were available. And what he was going to do was check with his team, which he did, and he came back to me and advised me that on the election date, April 27th, that the Downey and the Sheehan schools would not be available because those gymnasiums were being used as temporary classrooms due to the COVID-19 situation and the safety of the children. I guess I wasn't happy about it, because our charter does state that the annual town election is the last Tuesday of April. This has been out there advertised for quite a long time. But that being said, we had to kind of make some other accommodations. So we met again with Emily Parks, and another alternative was to have the election date on Wednesday, April 28th. And the schools would be available because it was an in-service day. I did inquire as to possibly changing that in-service day to the Tuesday so that we could still have our election on our scheduled date. And that was really able to be done just because of the hardship it may cause for teachers and the students. So just to, just to be clear, the reason why we're here is because we need to have the Board of Selectmen vote, the Select Board vote, to change the date from its annual date that has been, again, advertised for quite a long time, to the following day, Wednesday, April 28th. The hours will still be the same, 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Now, we are able to do this a little easier than if so right now the acts of Chapter 45 Acts of 2020 have been extended through June 30th. And what that does is that still allows municipalities that have a local election to change the date with the vote of the Select Board 20 days in advance. And there is quite a bit that we have to do once we do decide on this, getting the word out to the public. The last thing we want to do is disenfranchise any of our voters by not getting the word out that we are now changing our date. And if this extension was not in effect right now, we would have had to have an injunction to court, a court injunction, in order to change this. So I guess at this point in time, if anybody has any other questions for me, otherwise, John, if you want to.
Well, Dottie, did we change the date last year?
We changed the date last year, yes, we did. And last year was because everything was closed down.
Right.
We were right in the thick of COVID-19, and we had to close. We had to change the date, and that was again under the same
Statute.
same statute. Yes.
Michael, do you have any questions?
No, John, since I can tell you, I ran the longest election, I think, in town history last year. This is only being moved a day, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Thank you. Yeah, no,
Chair?
Dottie, I hear you, and I thank you for all the work on this. I mean, our residents have the right to an orderly and predictable election. And so none of this is ideal. And we keep being faced with these situations where we have to come up with some solution. I guess for me, the preference is that people will still go to their same polling place. It'll be a day later, as
Yeah.
opposed to voting on election day, but going to a different place.
Yes, I mean, that would have come with a whole nother set of issues. We would had to have found, if we kept it on the same date, we would have had to have found two locations. And
Right.
again, we don't want to disenfranchise anybody, especially, Downey School. And there's really there's not a whole lot of public buildings that we could use.
Correct. I'm sorry, Chris, were you going to say something?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I was just going to
Sure.
elaborate a little bit on that, what Ms. Powers just talked about. So we did have a conversation with the schools, as Dottie mentioned, and they were providing us with the Hanlon School and the Martha Jones School. And I think what Dottie was just alluding to was the concern of changing polling locations for at least 2 precincts. We would also have the Commonwealth come out and inspect a new polling location. So there was a lot of things that we would be compressed to do in a very short time frame. And then also the concern that if we were at least discussing moving the Downey polling location to the Hanlon site, that would be a traffic concern, both from a public safety standpoint and just from an operational standpoint, for having 2 polling locations in addition to having school in session on that day. So
Right.
moving it to the Wednesday would certainly make things where everyone's voting in the same polling location that they normally would be. The children will not be in the school at that
Right.
time, and so it would certainly be a safer alternative for everybody.
Okay. Does anybody from the Board of Registrars want to add anything?
John, I have just a quick question for you. So Dottie,
sure.
would you please explain, just while we're on here, as far as early voting and voting by mail, if that's still available? So let's just talk about that real quick.
Yes, and again, that was another extension in the bill from last year. So we are able to do early voting by mail. There is a deadline, it's 4 business days before. We also are able to, and this is again at the discretion of each city and town, it's not mandatory, but we can offer early voting in person, which we will be doing. And I will ask you to actually vote on that after we take the vote on the change of date.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm prepared to make the motion. If does anybody from the Board of Registrars want to be heard? You're here. I just didn't know if anybody wanted to speak.
We had a meeting last night, and Dottie, we're completely with Dottie.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Michael, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, would you mind, John?
No problem. I propose that the Select Board vote to postpone the annual town election scheduled for Tuesday, April 27th, 2021 to Wednesday, April 28th, 2021, pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 5 of the Acts of 2021, which is an extension of Chapter 45 of the Acts of 2020, Sections 1 and 2. Sections 1 and 2, 1A.
I'll make that motion, I guess, John, and then you can second. The second.
Okay, I will second, and then I will call the roll. Mr. Welsh?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, and we have 1 abstention from Mrs. Hyde. Okay, and then Dottie, you need us to do the second one for the extension of the early voting, correct?
Yes, and John, could we also have a vote of the Board of Registrars on this?
I don't think it's necessary. We didn't have them vote last year.
Okay.
Yeah. As if you read the statute, it's the Board of Selectmen or the Board of Registrars or Town Council can move the election date, Dottie.
Okay.
So the registrars are certainly important to us, but I think the date has now moved officially.
Okay.
Okay, and then I will further propose that the Select Board accept the provisions of Chapter 5, Acts of 2021, which is an extension of Chapter 45 of the Acts of 2020, Section L, providing early voting on Friday, April 23rd, 2021, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, April 24th, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Sunday, April 25th, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Gillette Meeting Room at the Westwood Police Station.
So moved.
Okay, I will second that. I will call the roll. Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well, and Mrs. Hyde abstains. Okay, with that, Mr. Town Administrator, I do not believe we have any other business.
Do you-
And John, if I could say one more.
Sure.
here.
Oh, you want to talk about early voting, Dottie? That's right.
Yeah, so I just want to let it be clear to everybody, thank you for voting to approve the early voting in person. I think it's a great opportunity for our voters. I know there's still a lot of people out there that are not comfortable going to the polls, but we have a lot of great options. We have voting by mail, early voting by mail. Applications are available at the police station. They can call our office. We can mail them one, or online on the webpage. And then the early voting is going to be great. You know, people can come. It'll be a safe environment. We'll do what we did for the state elections. We'll have all the safety protocol in place so people will feel comfortable. And then, of course, we have election day. We're open, you know, polls open at 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And again, those who want to vote on election day, you know, please feel free. It's going to be safe. And again, you know, we'll have all protocols in place so that everybody is comfortable, not only voters, but staff as well. And everything will be updated on the website so people can take a look, and the dates and all of the specifics about early voting and absentee voting.
Dottie, this is a lot of work for you and your team, and we really appreciate it. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
It's a lot.
Hopefully this is the last time, Donnie. Hopefully this is the last time.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, with that, we're going to move on. Our next scheduled meeting of the Westwood Select Board is this coming Monday, March 29th, 2021 at 5 p.m. via Zoom. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, and I will second the motion. Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.